Hi, welcome to Heart Connected Communication. And today we're going to be talking about self-empathy. And I'm going to walk you through a process that'll help you to remember how to connect with yourself so you can have some self-awareness, some self-compassion. So let's get started. Today I'm redoing a video that I did many years ago for self-empathy. It's based on the process from Nonviolent Communication. This is some wisdom that comes from Roxy Manning, who's another nonviolent communication trainer and someone that I've learned many things from. And that nonviolent communication is often just seen as a model, but actually it's two really important things. And nonviolent communication is a new story about how the world works. Because there's this assumption that everything we say or do is to meet a universal need. And that's something that's really new. And so what I want to do is show how we apply that sense, this new story, to how we connect with ourselves and what self-empathy is. When I first heard the term, I thought, what? That doesn't make any sense. Empathy is something we give to another. And yet that sense of being able to connect with how it feels to be in our own shoes, to really get connection and understanding, I think is such a base that can be supportive for our relationships and for how we are in the world and how we heal ourselves and help to heal the world. So also, nonviolent communication is this model that has 4 parts, and it has the intention for connection, and it has observations, feelings, needs, and requests. And each of those have a distinction, but that gives you the model. But these are the training wheels, in a sense, for that consciousness of being a new story about how the world works. That everything we say or do is to be connected to something that we all universally value. So in some of the other videos, I've gone through each part of this 4 parts of the model: observations, feelings, needs, and requests. And we're going to apply it to a self-empathy process. I want to bring back this visual of the tree. It was created by Inbal Kashtan, and I really appreciate the way that the tree has self-empathy as the roots. And just as much of what's above the ground is below the ground in the root system of a tree. That's the way their trees are. The huge, long, broad network of roots that help to nourish that tree and to keep it grounded, literally, when the wind blows, but to keep it connected to the whole inner network of roots and the ways that trees talk to each other. But it's a base of security and grounding. And so self-empathy is here pictured in the base of the tree. And it's opening my heart to observing my judgments, my thoughts. What am I telling myself? How am I feeling? What's important to me? And then what are the requests I have? And part of the self-empathy that Inbal included was putting in connecting with if there's another person involved. As part of my own self-connection, I'm checking with what judgments might they be having? What are some thoughts that they may be having? Could they be feeling, whatever the feelings might be? I want to check in with what could they be needing? And so this, I'll do the 2 separate processes for the self-empathy piece as a way to use the model for the base of this tree. The same 4 parts are used for self-expression and for listening to another. And I'll do separate videos for that. So what I'd like to ask you is to take a moment, if you want to do this practice, is to think of a situation, maybe from today, anytime that you had a sense of really wanting to understand yourself, have some self-connection, have some learning and understanding in a way that you can really take in and absorb. So I'll give you a moment to think of some situations. You can pause the video if you'd like. And if you'd like, you can get a piece of paper and write down a few situations, and then I'll walk you through, right? So I'm hoping you've gotten some time to write down a situation or think of a situation. So the first thing you're going to want to do is this part here, which is the observing. What am I thinking? Hand on the head. What am I thinking? What's going on for me? Observing my thoughts. It's that sense of wait. You're going to want to be, what am I thinking? What am I telling myself? Wait. Just naming the stories, the judgments, the interpretations, the beliefs that I'm holding. Now, of course, you don't have to put your hand on your head, but if you'd like to, that might be a way to remember the 4-part process. So go ahead and observe your thoughts, observe stories you're telling yourself, and write that down. And you can again pause the video if you'd like, or you can just listen to the whole thing and then come back to it. And once you have, what happened? What's the stimulus? What are some of those thoughts? You might want to translate it into an observation, what actually happened. So once you have observing your thoughts and your judgments and your interpretations, you can take a deep breath. And placing your hand on your heart, leaving space to feel the feelings. Notice, name what might be present in your body, any emotions you feel. And if it's helpful to have a feelings list that you don't feel feeling literate, go ahead and do that. But also you can just notice, do I have a tightness, constriction, something in my gut, some other sensation? Do I notice an emotion that I could label? And name some of those either out loud or by writing down or picturing or drawing. And you can pause at this point to check in with your feelings. Okay, I'm assuming you were able to do that. So you can take a deep breath again. I love that part. We're not making those feelings going away. We're actually giving room for them to be. So the next part is the needs. And this is pictured by putting your hand on your gut, your core, that place of your sort of inner knowing. So touching your belly, naming the needs underlying and being expressed through the thoughts and the feelings. Notice what you're longing for. You can close your eyes. What's important to you in this situation, or it's coming up right now? And if you'd like, you can just notice and see what emerges, or you can look at a needs list and see what kind of jumps out for you that you can kind of feel in your body that's landing, that might be one of the needs. And I'll go ahead and pause again for you to do that, or you can continue listening to the video, however you choose. Maybe you've gotten a sense of some of the needs, and I would love it if you could breathe, noticing those needs and center. This is a moment of even more pause to notice what are those universal human needs that we all long for, that every being wants, and connect with those, how precious they are. You might move from the lack of them or that longing, ache, to that sense of how precious they are, savoring them, noticing if any other needs want to emerge. And then in your own timing, you might open your hands, and this little person has them open sort of on their lap, but that sense of being able to receive, naming any requests that emerge, like not striving for or forcing a request, but just seeing if any emerge that are based on the needs that emerged. So you can take a moment to notice those. How it feels in your body. And spend as long as you'd like to picture those requests to yourself or to another. I'm hoping you've had time to write any requests that emerged and integrate. The ending part is really thanking yourself, being grateful for the space and the time to have some self-connection, to notice what's in the room or in your own heart and body as a way for self-connection. And you could do this at any time. I used to practice even when I was driving with one hand. I'd be like, okay, what am I thinking? What are my judgments and my stories? Oh, what am I feeling? What am I needing? Open hand. And I would go through the process to help and to remind myself that I had that within me, that sense of self-connection, self-awareness, self-compassion. So I could find the needs and actually make requests that might be more connected to those needs. And it gave me a sense of empowerment. I was quite just amazed by how supportive self-empathy was, especially as a parent at the time I was practicing. I was also teaching in a school. And so needed that sense of grounding. And I could even do my little 4-part without anybody really knowing. I could do it silently. I'd like, oh, I'd be listening and maybe touching my head and then, kind of go here and then put my hands belly and open my hands, that I could self-connect in any moment. And it felt empowering to have that capacity and that tool and map. I want to come back to the second part of the self-empathy. If you want, you can really check in with yourself, have parts of you give consent to other parts of you about checking in. Am I willing for my own sense of connection to guess what's going on if there's another person involved with what might be their thoughts and stories, what could be coming up for them in regards to their feelings, what could be coming up in regards to their needs. And see what that feels like to go through that process. And you can write those down if you'd like. Also, there's also, I'll put up a worksheet in the links that might be supportive for this process. And then from there, I can choose in any moment, do I want to basically move to nonverbal empathy, which is sort of what I'm doing when I'm guessing that someone else's feelings and needs, or maybe a verbal empathy guess. Now that I have more self-connection and connection to this other person, I might be able to ask them what's, when that happened, are you feeling this because you're really longing for this? Did I get it? And staying with empathy, or I might move to expressing basically my self-empathy out loud. Wow, I've noticed I've gotten some awareness of some connection that when this happened or when this is going on, I'm feeling this because this is what's important to me. And I'm wondering if you could say back, what you heard is something that's important to me in this moment. Or maybe I'd say, would you be willing to share what's coming up for you after hearing my needs? So I hope that's helped you with the self-empathy process. So I want to walk through an example for you. So I received an email about some problems with a particular form I had sent out. So I'm going to take that situation. So I would be, okay, wow. I'm going to observe and notice and name like my interpretations and my beliefs, my judgments. My judgments are, why are you telling me everything that's wrong first without even saying thank you? That's one of my judgments. Why is it that I can't send something out and have it just be okay that it's not perfect? My judgments might be, this person is always noticing what's wrong. I don't like them. I don't want to be around them. My interpretations are that I'm always being told what to do without asking anyone for it. Okay, whew, I'm gonna take a deep breath. Oh, okay, those are some of my thoughts, my stories, my interpretations. When I'm thinking about the person who sent an email, or when I received an email saying that there was something wrong with the form, I feel frustrated. I feel some discouragement. I feel irritated. There's a little embarrassment in there too. I feel like a tightening in my jaw. I feel myself getting kind of rigid in my back. Like I want to say, oh, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. I went back up to some thoughts. So I'm feeling that sadness, disappointment, irritation, frustration, a little bit of embarrassment, disheartenment. So I'm going to take a deep breath, letting those feelings really be where I actually feel them, the disheartenment, the irritation, it's information. What do you want to tell me, feelings? I feel defensiveness. Yeah, of course. And with that, some room to feel those feelings and taking a deep breath. I'm going to notice my needs. I'm going to put my hand on my gut um, and name the underlying needs. I just long. I long for consent as a strategy of consideration. I long for some connection before education or saying something that's wrong. I long to be seen for the effort and how challenging it is to get every tiny bit of a form. Something about wanting to be seen in my wholeness, longing to have some awareness of the impact of what it's like to be told one more thing you're doing wrong, when I've had such a history and experience of being given advice when I didn't ask for it. So there's a systemic longing there, something that is historically having a sense of being less than, that I'm touched into. So I long to have a sense of mattering and value, seen for it all, competency, really longing for choice about when I get information, strategy of being checked in with, respect and care, and it being in integrity with living from that place. So I have more of a sense of centering. I'm going to take some more breaths, intentionally deep breaths with open hands on my lap. Just seeing what wants to be received, connecting with those needs for a moment, choice, care. Acknowledgement of the exhaustion, awareness of the systemic piece at play, shared reality. I'm going to notice if there's any requests of myself. Well, I definitely have a request of myself to continue this connection with what feels like giving myself a sense of awareness and acknowledgement for the exhaustion. I also might ask for support. I'd love some support in being able to guess what's going on for the other person and see them in their wholeness and not hold an enemy image. Those are some of the requests. So I hope that example gave you something more to support you. And I'll also put up some links for some of the other videos that might help explain or give you a felt experience of observations and needs and feelings and requests more depth. Check out some of the other meditations and things on the channel, and let me know your ideas and how this video supported you. Maybe it's something you can do real quick when you need it, and it's just a reminder that you're not alone in holding this sense of self-compassion. And I want to thank Marshall Rosenberg for remixing and bringing out a new way to connect with compassion and bring in the wisdom of so many others who have gone before about self-compassion and how supportive it is to have self-empathy so that we can sustain our ability to empathize with others, and we don't have as much burnout if we have this practice. I recommend and strongly suggest or encourage, in whatever way that feels choiceful, that you really center in on focusing on self-empathy as a base of your practice. I know I come back to it again and again. Well, thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe just to support this content and more love in the world. You need it. I'll see you next time.